I'm a civil engineer, and when I first started, I was on scholarship from Jamaica, and then so I had to come back to Jamaica for 2 years, which would now take me from 1974 to 1976. At the end of the 2 year period, I went back to Canada, and I couldn't get a job. I had three job offers. The first was to be a long haul truck driver. The second was to be a soap salesman for this pyramid scheme business. And the third was to sell mutual funds. I opted for the third. So, being a young Jamaican, 26, in Canada, at the time, Canada was not as cosmopolitan as it is today. And being 26, I knew no one with money as an immigrant. So I had to cold call. So when you cold call, people say yes, no, maybe, right? And I didn't take it personally. The no's I didn't take personally because although I did not look like your stereotypic Canadian financial advisor, I didn't sound like one. My accent hasn't changed, as you can hear, right?
It hasn't.
And it was more strong then. When someone rejected me, I just thought I didn't take it personally. I didn't attribute anything to it. It's just the name of the game. When you cold call, it's a numbers game. So but what is most important is those people who said yes, right? That's what was most important, because when someone said yes to me, Mike, you can come and see me at my home and tell me about how you're gonna plan for me. When I got to their home, and I would have two appointments every evening, in addition to my working all day, one at 7, one at 9. When I got to their home, and just before ringing the bell, I'd ask myself the question, what is the highest value add I can give to this family here today, tonight? What is that one thing that if I can do will transform their life? Now, you see, and the answer kept coming back to me, Mike, make them wealthy. Make them wealthy. Because if you can make them wealthy, you'll build a fantastic business and it will transform their life. So that question, every time I speak to any audience, even tonight, whether it's an audience of one or an audience of 1,000, it doesn't matter. I always ask myself that question: what's the highest value add I can give to this person, this audience, this class? And what it does, it focuses me on arraying all my experiences, my assets, my network to solve this entity's issues.
Yes.
So I'm
Yeah.
not thinking about myself, I'm thinking problem solving for this entity.
Right. Now, I know you don't typically invest in startups or do venture funding. But what would you say to those people who are looking to use other people's money? What do you say to them embarking on this journey? What do they need to know in order to succeed?
Well, as you know, the first round is usually friend and family, right? The first round. Now, when someone invests with you, it's a very high responsibility. It means they're saying, I trust you. Look, I'm trusting you. Don't lose my capital. That's what they're saying,
Yeah.
right? So therefore, it behooves you to really steward those funds more passionately, guard it, fertilize it, do whatever you can to make sure you don't disappoint those people who trust you, right? So that's my attitude when someone invests with me. I am a lot more responsible than I am with my own money because it's other
Yes.
people's money. So we have to be conscious. We just can't take money and say, well, it's a commodity. No, 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 no. What's behind it is what you have to realize. Someone is trusting you and they're saying, please, I'm trusting you. Don't lose my money, okay?
Yes.
So that
Yeah.
that sense of responsibility and stewardship has to be there.
Yeah. So, I mean, even in thinking about the business that they want to start, I've heard you talk about the tenets that they need to be considering in terms of even selecting the business that they want to invite investors into.
Yes.
Maybe you want to share some of those gems about the characteristics even of the businesses that they should be developing that would be attractive to investors.
Well, firstly, I would say that uh, in terms of the characteristic, well, the characteristics of the businesses that one should invest in. What I've done, I codified early the characteristics of wealth creating businesses, right? And there are 10 characteristics. Let me just find them. In retrospect, when I look back, I govern my behavior by frameworks, right? Because what you want to do as an investor is have consistency of behavior over time. So you keep doing the same thing over and over and over, and the compound factor will trip in, right? So I govern my behavior by frameworks. So what I did early is codify the 10 characteristics that are common to all wealth creating businesses. And if we know these 10 characteristics that are common to wealth creating businesses, then what we can do firstly is make sure that the business that we are building are on side of these characteristics, right? Okay, so when you are a business person, you are really a capital allocator. That's what you are. You allocate capital. So you just don't see yourself as a business person. You have to see yourself as not only a business person, but also an investor. And Warren Buffett famously said when he was asked, how come you're so successful at capital allocation? He said, I'm a better investor because I'm a business person. And conversely, I'm a better business person because I'm an investor. So you cannot be a great capital allocator unless you think like an investor and you also think like a business person. Both. There are two roles that we have as capital allocators. So as an investor, again, I codified some characteristics of the most successful investors and their behavior. And I codify them, I call them the 5 laws of wealth creation. The first one is if you think about, all right, I put it to you another way. Think about any wealthy person. Just think about a wealthy person, and I'm going to describe the 5 characteristics of that person as an investor first. And then the 10 characteristics of that person you're thinking of the business that that person owns, right? Remember, this is not rehearsed, but I'm sure I'm going to be able to get it 5 out of 5 and 10 out of 10. In terms of the investor characteristics, that person you're thinking of owns a few high quality businesses, not too many, a few. So therefore, as aspiring business people, investors, we have to make sure that we build high quality businesses, right? Number 2, you have to, that in person that you're thinking of as an investor thoroughly understands the few high quality businesses that he or she owns. So that word, understand, is common to to every single wealth creating investor. Number 3, that person you're thinking of, invest in businesses that are in strong long-term growth industries. So as an investor, you have to think about the industry you're investing in and whether it has long-term growth characteristics or is it dying? Because to minimize the possibility of losing money, You build high quality businesses that are in strong long-term growth industry. It's a combination of quality of the business plus the strength of the industry that will protect your capital and eventually give you good growth. Number 4, that person you're thinking of, that investor you're thinking of, created his or her wealth by using other people's money prudently. And lastly, that person you're thinking of, that investor, created his or her wealth by simply holding those few businesses for as long as they remain high quality and as long as the industry remains in a strong long-term growth phase. So those are the 5 characteristics of successful investors. Now let us take a look at the characteristics of the business that that person you're thinking of owns. The first is, we're going to look at the business characteristics. The first is the business is run by an owner operator. The owner and the operator in one, they're married together, right? Number 2, and so therefore there's skin in the game. Number 2, that successful wealth creating businesses, or the business that is owned by the person you're thinking of, there's heavy concentration of ownership in that business. Few people own the business, right? Thirdly, the key stakeholders, the principles of the business. When you think of the principle, you think of the business. When you think of the business, you think of the principle. So there's interchangeability between the face of the business and the business, and the business and the face of a person. As an example, when you think of Apple, whose face comes to mind? Steve Jobs. When you think of Steve Jobs, which business comes to mind? Apple. That is typical of wealth creating businesses. So the principal's face is on the shingle. Okay? Number 4, invariably, that business is not run by a perfect democracy. It's invariably, it has an autocratic management style. Number 5 characteristic is that wealth creating business that is owned by the person you're thinking of has entrepreneurial management. Number 6, that business has low turnover of management. Number 7, when the business makes a capital allocation decision, it makes a profit and then it has to allocate the profit by a plant, by another company. If the investment is a good one, the net worth of the principals increases. If it's a bad one, the net worth of the principal decreases. In other words, the risk reward ratio for when capital allocation decisions are made is symmetrical, tantamount to flip a coin, heads they win, tails they lose. Number 8, the business sets long-term goals. It's not driven by short-termism. Number 9, the focus of the board. Sandra, listen now.
Yes,
The
yes.
focus of the board is singular. Growth, growth, growth.
Yeah.
Number 10, the business validation of success of the business would be fundamentals like customer satisfaction, margins, revenue growth, etc. So those are the 10 characteristics of wealth creating businesses. And for all of us who are aspiring to create successful businesses, we should keep those characteristics on our refrigerator and make sure we are building towards, we're on side of all of those 10.